The Boston Bruins are switching up their defensive pairings, but they're sticking with Linus Ullmark for Game 2 against the Carolina Hurricanes. Going to get you up to date on all things black and gold heading into Game 2 on today's episode, so let's get into it.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke to Be, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Wednesday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. The podcast free and available on all platforms, as well as on YouTube. So please do smash that subscribe button. Never miss an episode. If you want to follow on Twitter, you can do so at Locked NHL Bruins. Same handle on Instagram, and you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets, at Ian C. McLaren. I really hope today's episode doesn't turn into the Coughed On Boston Bruins podcast. A bit of the vid going through the McLaren household right now, and it has caught up with me, but I'm here talking Boston Bruins. If that doesn't show you how much I love this team, how much I appreciate you all, nothing will. Having said that, we're going to get right to the point today so that I can jump back into bed, maybe watch the Batman with a little downtime. Fortunately, right now, it just feels like a bad cold, cement legs, bit of a headache, what have you. Stay safe out there, friends. So, the Bruins looking to shake off that 5-1 loss to the Carolina Hurricanes in Game 1. And they are making some changes to the defensive pairings. That's the big adjustment that Bruce Cassidy is making heading into Game 2. It will be Hampus Lindholm skating with Brandon Carlo, and Matt Grzelcyk reunited with Charlie McAvoy, which really has been one of the best defensive pairings in the NHL. So it makes sense. Now, having said that, Lindholm and McAvoy will be paired together as Cassidy sees fit, based on kind of the context of the game, what happens. But he thought the other night, Grizz and Carlo had a bit of a challenging night. They had talked about kind of having an interchangeable top four, using Lindholm with Carlo at times as well. So, while these defensive pairings will be how they start, they're going to mix things up from time to time. So don't be surprised if 27 is out there with 73 at some point. Having said that, he thought, again, Grizz and Carlo did struggle a bit. Lindholm is excellent on the breakout, like Charlie is. So now you've got one of those guys on each pair that can be a one-man breakout as opposed to loading them up. Loading them up obviously frees one of the others to join the offensive attack. So you're taking from one to give to another, see how it works out. But, in the game situation, coming out of a timeout, you can maybe still use Lindholm and McAvoy together. If it's an offensive draw or a key defensive draw, you need a breakout. That's the reasoning. Just a little bit of a different look for the matchups as well. Cassidy's plan was to take a look at Lindholm and Carlo together at various points during the stretch run, but Lindholm, of course, went out with a lower body injury, cost him 7 games, squashed that plan. But Carlo's looking forward to the opportunity to play with Lindholm. He said, "We haven't had many games or shifts together, but from watching him along the bench and over the past couple of years in Anaheim, he's a guy that Carlo has a lot of respect for. He thinks he's pretty familiar with the way that he plays the game. Biggest thing will be communication using their big bodies and long sticks to keep things to the outside and go from there. Just continue to build chemistry. He's obviously a great player, and those kinds of players are fun to play with. Will make the game easier in some regards for Carlo, and I hope the same can be said of Lindholm, talking about Carlo. Again, Lindholm looks healthy, and there's the opportunity to perhaps switch things up, but for the time being, that will be the pairings to start the game. With the idea being both Lindholm, McAvoy being able to skate the puck out of trouble in the Bruins' end of the ice, and hopefully putting Grzelcyk in a more familiar pairing will help him settle down a bit as well. Not pinning that third goal completely on him. There was some center coverage that was lacking there as well. But yeah, just kind of settle things down and see how this goes for the Boston Bruins. So that's the big change heading into tonight's game. I had thought that perhaps there would be a change on the forward lines, specifically the third line. But Bruce Cassidy's keeping them together for the time being. Charlie Coyle said they need to play with the puck a little more in their zone, make them work hard, kind of wear them down that way. That's their game. That's how they get into the game, and that's how they start feeling good and playing off the shot. So that's kind of the third line's mentality. Coyle said, you can't dwell on the past. It's how quickly you can get your focus back and your mind right for the next game, no matter if you win or lose, because it can change in an instant. You can't really ride the waves. You have to stay level-headed. Harder for us fans, of course, but the Bruins do have an opportunity to go home tied 1-1, and that's huge. That's all you can ask for when starting on the road. Obviously, best case scenario is 2-0, but that ship has sailed. Before we continue to tee up this game, quick word about Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's almost impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders only the parts available on their system? You have access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket, and you can save time and money. They're a family-owned business. They've been serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and their prices are always reliably low for every customer. They have everything you could need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. I ordered a gas cap for my very old Honda Odyssey a few years ago. Their website is so easy to explore, and you can find the solution for your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. Nightly recaps of every NHL game with analysis from our local experts. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. Now, one change that Bruce Cassidy is not making is between the pipes. He said after Tuesday's practice that he's sticking with Linus Ullmark as Boston's starting goalie for Game 2. That's the right decision in my mind. He did only make 20 saves on 24 shots in his postseason debut, but Cassidy pointing to a bigger window, saying he had a great run coming into the playoffs. Not going to judge him on one game, his first playoff game. Although, Antti Ranta, he was playing his first playoff game, made some big saves, kept the Bruins from scoring early on could have changed the course of the game. But at the end of the day, Ullmark going back in. Hopefully he's a better goaltender tonight, Cassidy said. That's how it works this time of year. It's a big part of the game, and he'll get his chance. Having said that, first of all, I agree with this decision. Ullmark was the better goalie for the last couple of months. He earned the right to start game one. Didn't come out with the win, but he played well enough to give the Bruins a chance. They weren't able to convert at the other end of the ice. And then the goals that were scored on him, with the exception of the Vincent Trocheck goal that was scored from behind the goal line off his helmet, you can't pin them necessarily on Ullmark. What Carolina was able to do in front of him that the Bruins were not was get in front of the net. Bruins didn't do nearly enough in game one to capitalize or generate on second chances and rebounds in front of Antti Raanta. And the Bruins allowed Carolina to score each of their first two goals on tips and traffic in front of Ullmark. At that point, it was 2-0. Taylor Hall scored to make it 2-1, hit the post. This could have been a completely different game. Like I said yesterday, the 5-1 score didn't tell the whole story. And the Bruins need to do a lot more to get in the slot, to make things more difficult for the Carolina Hurricanes goaltender. Again, full 60 minutes is what the Bruins need. They played well for the first period, beginning of the second, a bit to start the third. Taylor Hall rings one off the post. If that goes in, completely different ball game or puck game. And the Bruins weren't that far away from getting the job done in game one. They have work to do to get to 60 minutes. But it wasn't a complete write-off this game. There was good sequences that they had to build on and sustain. And that's pretty much the story. From Carolina's point of view, Rob Brindamore did say that, his club, there's a lot to improve on as well. Quite a lot they can do better. Raanta made some big saves. He also had the point of view that it could have been a completely different game if some of those pucks had gone in early. The reality is, however, the Bruins are in a hole. They're on the road still. If Carolina takes a 2-0 lead, it will be very difficult to climb out of that hole. Not unheard of. I always point back to 2011 where the Bruins lost games 1 and 2 to the Montreal Canadiens on home ice and still won that series. The year the Capitals won the Stanley Cup, they were down to the Columbus Blue Jackets, scored in overtime to extend the series, came back and won. So you never know what can happen, but certainly it's a better situation. All of us will feel better if the Bruins are able to win tonight and take the series back to Boston tied at 1. No changes to the forward lines, like I mentioned. And the only adjustments on defense will be Grzelcyk, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo. And hopefully the Bruins can get it done here in Carolina in Game 2. 7 p.m. Eastern start. And I'm, cautiously optimistic. Not even cautiously. I think the Bruins played well enough in Game 1 to win. It was a tale as old as time for this team. Generating shots, generating opportunities, not able to capitalize. The other team comes down, scores a couple quick ones, and that's the game. The Bruins need to make things difficult, come out firing, get the crowd out of the game, replace that storm surge with a goalie hug at the end of 60, maybe extended minutes, but let's keep it in regulation. Your boy needs some rest. Speaking of rest and health, summer is coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on family vacation. Throw them in your bags, in your kids' backpacks, and make sure that everyone has a bar so that you're fueled for your summer adventures. This summer, our family's going to Montreal for about a week. Will we have Built Bars in our backpacks? You know it. The best part of Built Bars, they're healthy and delicious. No more sacrificing delicious snacks for health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to Built.com and order now. Choose from all the amazing flavors they have. Check out the amazing stats. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. And I don't know how they do it, but they make it delicious first and then healthy, and they nail it every time. Go to Build.com, use promo code LOCKED15, get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. So, 2 of my picks in the Eastern Conference, actually all 4 of my picks in the Eastern Conference, lost their game 1. So my bracket is doing amazing. I picked the Rangers. Evgeny Malkin scored in triple overtime to give the Penguins a 4-3 win. I kind of think that the Rangers should have won. There was a goaltender interference call that did not go in their favor that I think should have. Of note, Louis Domingue got the win after replacing Casey DeSmith. So the Penguins could be without their top 2 goalies. Rickard Rakell also suffered a head injury after a hit from former Bruin Ryan Lindgren. So that could be big losses for them as well. There was a line brawl last night in the Flames Stars game. I picked the Flames to win the cup. So good pick there. The Avalanche rolled over the Predators, and the Capitals with a very surprising win over the Florida Panthers. Another reminder to not overreact to one game. Nothing is decided yet, and the Bruins still have a chance to come home and make this series 1-1 tonight. What else is going on? Well, we finished Ozark last night. Watched the last 2 episodes. Not going to give any spoilers, but one moment in particular was pretty devastating. Not quite ready to talk about it yet. With my downtime today, I might finally check out The Batman, which is on Crave up here in Canada. Of course, there's the season finale of Moon Knight. Some Better Call Saul to catch up on. This Is Us. And very excited to check those out around the Boston Bruins tonight. Game 2. Please follow at Locked NHL Bruins, at Ian C. McLaren. And yeah, that's kind of the lay of the land heading into tonight's game against the Carolina Hurricanes. Not quite sure. Let me just do a quick goog here. If Frederik Andersen will be able to play tonight. Emily Kaplan saying a couple days ago that he has a knee sprain with no structural damage. Highly unlikely he will be ready for Game 2. So it looks like it will be Antti Ranta again tonight, but there's also always a chance that Andersen could be in there. Perhaps if they put him in, he's not quite 100%. That could be something the Bruins could take advantage of. Anyways, that's it for today. Oh, there we go. Thanks so much for tuning into the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. Very much appreciate it, friends. And I'll be back tomorrow to recap tonight's game. Hopefully a W for our Bruins. And do check out the Locked On NHL podcast as well. Biggest stories from around the league covered by some of our local experts. All right, take care, friends. Stay safe out there. Get boosted. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow.